Welcome back to our channel. Now we are discussing on SEBI's warning to Godrej Agrovet. This is a wake-up call on corporate disclosure and transparency. In the month of September 2025, SEBI, the Securities Exchange Board of India, issued an administrative warning to Godrej Agrovet Limited, company belonging to one of the India's most respected business houses, the Godrej Group. The reason is a delay in disclosing changes in its shareholding in Astec Lifesciences Ltd, a listed subsidiary. So, delay in disclosing changes in the shareholding. This case may appear simple on the surface, just a few days delay, but the lesson it carries runs deep into the heart of the corporate governance and regulatory accountability. We will see the background of the case. In its official communication dated 29th September 2025, Godrej Agrovet informed both BSE and NSE that it had received a warning letter from SEBI. SEBI's observation was that during the processing of a mandatory open offer of Astec Lifesciences in 2024, the company had violated disclosure requirements under SEBI SAST, Substantial Acquisition of Shares and Takeover Regulation 2011, commonly known as Takeover Code. Here is what SEBI found is the company made 4 separate share acquisitions in Astec Lifesciences. However, the mandatory disclosure of these acquisitions, which were required to be made within 2 working days, were filed late. So the delays were significant. So SEBI concluded that these delays violated Regulation 29.2 with Regulation 29.3 of the Takeover Code. So, understanding the Takeover Regulation 2011, the Securities and Exchange Board of India Substantial Acquisition of Shares and Takeovers Regulation 2011, the SAST regulations exist to ensure transparency in ownership and control of listed companies. They apply whenever there is a change in the shareholding that could influence control or investor perception. So let's go through the key provisions, the relevant provisions. 29.1. What 29.1 says? Initial disclosure. Whenever a person or entity acquires 5% or more, whenever a person or an entity acquires 5% or more shares or voting rights in a listed company, they must disclose the acquisition to both the company and the stock exchanges where the shares are listed. Timeline is within 2 working days from the acquisition. What Regulation 29.2 says? Continual disclosure. If shareholder who already holds 5% or more and acquires or disposes of shares resulting a change of 2% or more, so they already hold 5% and there is a change of 2% in their shareholding, they must disclose that change again. So this ensures that any significant movement in shareholding is visible to the markets. Timeline is within 2 working days from the transaction. And Regulation 29.3 says that is the obligation of the targeted company. Here the target company is the Astec Lifesciences. Target company must disclose the information received under the Regulation 29.1 and 29.2, either Regulation 29.1 or Regulation 29.2, to the stock exchanges within 2 working days from the receiving it. This is the company's obligation. Here the regulatory intent is that the idea is very simple. Investors must always know who holds influence and control in the company. Transparency is the foundation of investor confidence. So any delay in the disclosures, whether deliberate or accidental, disrupt the integrity of the market information. So the LODR regulations on their connection, if you see the beyond takeover code, there is another layer, that is SEBI LODR. While the takeover code focuses on ownership changes, LODR ensures continuous and fair disclosures of all material information that can impact investor decisions. Regulation 30 This is the disclosure of material events or information. Any event that can materially affect the share price or investor decisions must be disclosed to the stock exchanges promptly. Schedule 3, Para A, Part A specifically includes acquisition or disposal of shares in another company as a material event. Such information must be disclosed as soon as possible, but not later than 24 hours from the occurrence of the event. Regulation 4(2)(e), that is a principle of governance. This clause is the soul of the LODR framework. It emphasizes that companies must ensure accurate, adequate, and timely disclosures, guided by the transparency, integrity, and fairness. So it is not just about what you disclose, but how promptly and honestly you do it. This is what Regulation 4. And another regulation, that is Regulation 7(2), that is a continual disclosure by promoters and directors. Promoters are designated persons who acquire or dispose of securities exceeding 10 lakh, must notify the company within 2 working days, and the company must then inform to the stock exchanges within 2 working days, 2 trading days. So here, 2 trading days. So promoters are designated persons who acquire or dispose of securities exceeding 10 lakh must notify the company within 2 trading days, and the company must then inform to the stock exchange within 2 trading days thereafter. So together, these provisions ensure that market operate on equal access to information. This is not a privilege or delay. In this case, SEBI warning and enforcement powers. SEBI could have imposed a monetary penalty under section 15A(b) of the SEBI Act 1992, which provides for penalty up to 1 lakh per day for delay. For the delay per day, 1 lakh. However, SEBI chooses a softer administrative route, that is official warning. Because the company has already made delayed disclosures, there was no fraudulent intent and no investor loss occurred. But however, SEBI made it very clear that any repetition of such violation in future will be viewed very seriously and appropriate enforcement action will be initiated. So this case is not about Godrej Agrovet alone. It is about what timely disclosure truly represents: trust, accountability, and respect for investors. So in the stock market, time is not just money, time is transparency. Every day of delay keeps investors in the, even if unintentional. Compliance is not about fear of penalty, it is about honoring the invisible handshake between a company and its shareholders. The promise of the honesty. Thank you for watching. We have 2 channels, RR Corporates and RR Legal Talks. Please do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will not miss any of our latest videos. Thank you.